as Honorable Andrew Allen comes in.
The exact situation surrounding Uganda's readiness for the June 17th digital migration deadline appears elusive, as the entity expected to lead the transition by law is described by MPs as a ghost entity with no legal recognition. These questions arose as the board of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation interfaced with legislators on the ICT committee.
Having 3 to 4 months, the deadline, and you creating a total mess within the same project you're trying to put forward. Sincerely speaking, you should be considering the public who are the beneficiaries, not you, the engineers within the same project.
If an extension is not allowable by ITU, is there any option that within your knowledge you think can be done?
I would like you to throw a bit more light and in greater detail, first of all, whether this is what we envisaged. We are mindful of the fact that for us to have another entity, the UBC Act would have to be amended.
But there was actually no communication between UBC and the other stakeholders before we arrived. Before we showed up as a board of directors, there's no flow. There was no flow of information between UBC and the other stakeholders before we showed up as board of directors. And yes, I think I do take the burden in all ways, as the Honorable Idawa has said.
With UCC boss engineer Godfrey Mutawazi earlier denying claims that the institution issued a digital transmission license to Signet, a subsidiary of UBC, the insistence by UBC that they are in custody of the license set them on collision course with the MPs.
The biggest challenge is awareness. There need to be awareness for all stakeholders.
You cannot give a license to a business name. You can only give a license to a registered legal entity.
UBC, as the national carrier, must be unbundled into 2 separate independent entities, one for content and one for infrastructure. And when we interacted with the national broadcasters, they expressed concern that this is not what happened. So today we were interacting with the UBC, and we tried to understand if UBC was unbundled as was envisaged.
But we've only been there for 6 months. So for us, this is now what we are doing to operationalize the policy.
This disagreement sealed an abrupt end of the meeting, with the UBC board chaired by former minister and ex-Ginger West MP Nathan Igemenabeta directed to avail documentary evidence in a week's time to the committee to settle the disagreement. Earlier this week, the National Broadcasters Association expressed their skepticism about the ability of the national broadcaster to effectively deliver to the expectations, with concerns as well about the rates likely to be levied on the stations that will use the services. The National Association of Broadcasters also wants to be licensed to operate their own signal distribution company. Sabit Joseph, WCelevision, Parliament.